Hey, this is Jamie with Stamp Happy Day. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this really fun card with the Tidings and Trimmings stamp set and dies. So this is a bundle that you can get directly from the 2021 catalog, and it coordinates with the Christmas trimming dies. This is what they look like. And we're going to be using a few of these today. We're going to use this gorgeous holly and the actual stocking to come up with this beautiful card. I actually am casing this card from Kristen Hancock. Thank you so much for your beautiful idea. And so we are going to go ahead and get started and make this gorgeous card. So in today's card, we're going to be using 3 colors. This is a non-traditional Christmas card. So we've got Early Espresso, Blushing Bride, and Crumb Cake. Isn't that crazy how untraditional that is? I think it's beautiful. And again, we're going to be using the Tidings and Trimmings stamp set. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is I've already got these stamps mounted, so I'm just going to grab those. We're going to be using quite a few of them. So from the stamp set, we're using the bow. We're also using this fun little holly, and then both stockings. And then our sentiment is going to say it's the most wonderful time of the year. Inside, I will actually be mounting a piece of white paper. I forgot to do that, saying wishing you a joyful Christmas and a happy new year inside the card. So since it's a early espresso, you won't be able to write on here. So we'll need to have like a piece of white paper with our beautiful sentiment in the middle. So I forgot to do that. Just realized that. All right, so let's go ahead and move him to the side and get started. So let's do some stamping first. So I have my basic white cardstock, and this is the centerpiece here. I will put all of my dimensions for you on the blog, but it is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And we're gonna start with Crumb Cake to start our holly. Now I have used this stamp set before, so I don't need to stamp off, but I'm gonna start by just randomly placing some of the holly, keeping in mind that I want my bows to kind of go in between all the places. And I do, like I said, want it to be, fairly well covered, kind of rotating it as I go. And I know that my stockings are going to be covering this, but I'm still going to go ahead and stamp there. And I can see here that I've got some ink. I don't know if you can see that on the corners. So what I like to do when that happens is just take it to the outer corner of my mat and make sure you get that off. Otherwise, it will halo on there, so I'm just going to stamp that off. Or, of course, I can take my chamois. I keep mine in a case, and I can just clean the whole thing, right? Either one works. So it's kind of a happy accident that happened. You guys can see that. So just continuing here with adding some more of the holly. Let me see. Actually, I think that's good for now. Now we're going to go ahead and get our bow out. I can always come back in and add more, but you kind of, you can't take it away. So this is one of the old ink pads here. But this is Blushing Bride, and it makes the faintest little bows. I just love this color. I've actually used it quite a bit. My daughter, who is now 7, when we did her nursery, she had Blushing Bride in her room with gray, with granite gray. I used all the Stampin' Up! Colors and made some very fun kind of artwork, and I just missed that. So I'm just going to go back over it. We made some artwork for my daughter, which I know this is going to be covered, but I just want to do it again. Because it's photopolymer, you can see where you're stamping. It's a little bit off, but not bad. No big deal. And if I really didn't like it, I can just turn the paper over and make a new one. So that's the beauty of paper having 2 sides. Let's see. And I think that's good. You want less is more. You really don't want to go insane here because you won't be able to take it back off, right? So it's very faint over here. Making sure you can still see that in the camera. Okay, move this back in so you guys can see. All right, so that's my really cute little card base. So we'll set that aside. Now we're going to need our tag. So I have a piece here of Crumb Cake, and I am using the Tailor Made dies, and it's this guy here in the middle, right? And then what I did was I punched out these little 3-pack here of the, I'm not sure what they called, but it's like a reinforcement for the actual tag, which is great if you're making tags, right? So it goes right there, and I just went ahead and already cut that out. So I've got my piece right here. But yeah, I used this second largest one from the angled ones. This would actually have looked really cute with the side one. In fact, let's see, could we use, well, I don't want to have to cut out the little circle again. No, let's do it. Let's try it. Let's just see what it looks like when we use this one. So I'm going to use my little, first time I've used that. I'm going to use the circles to reinforce the hole this time. Okay. We're going to experiment and see what we need. And I just got to make sure I have that pink pirouette, or not pink pirouette, Blushing Bride cardstock handy. So I'm just going to grab that. Okay, so now I have my pink paper to go on here. And I do have my cut and emboss machine over here to the right. So you're going to see me cut those here in just a moment. But first, I need to actually stamp my sentiment. So what I like to do is put my, my die down on the paper first. And that way, I know I'm stamping inside the die. Now, one thing I want to make sure of is this actually fits. So this is the other reason that you do this, is you kind of put that in there and go, all right, does it fit? And it does. It definitely does fit. So I'm going to use my Early Espresso ink. Make sure that's nice and juicy. And I know that that definitely fits in there, so I'm just going to go ahead and stamp it down. I didn't want to use that die there just in case I caught the die with the stamp. Just cleaning my ink off my stamps. I love Christmas time, so any excuse to get in here and start making cards for Christmas, I am like all about it. While I have this ink out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp on basic white cardstock our stocking. So there are two stockings that come inside of this stamp set. One has a very dark detail, which I did with the pink on the card here, where most of the pink shows through. The other one has the details coming from the actual design. Okay, so we're going to use that for Early Espresso, and this was for the Blushing Bride. So yes, okay. So this is the Early Espresso, and I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that on some basic white cardstock. I really like the detail, and can you see that I actually messed that up? So I'm going to go ahead and clean my stamp, and we're going to do it again. No problem. So just tapping, tapping, tapping on my ink pad. And I think I drug it last time I drug the stamp. So do you see that? That's much better, much cleaner image. So I'm going to go with that. Now I can put the Early Espresso away. And then I'm going to go ahead and get the Blushing Bride out. Now, I will say, with this stamp set, because of the detail within the stamp, let me show you again. Do you see how most of it is the inked up image? So you really have to have a light hand when you press that into the ink. So I did this about 4 times before I finally got what I liked. So I'm going to show you what I mean. If I press in hard like that and I stamp, it's not giving me what I want. So you want to really tap, tap, tap. You're going to have to experience this for yourself to get a good, clean image of what you want. And that is a gorgeous one. Okay, so that was a good tip. I'm kind of glad. I like it when I experience those things so that I can pass them on to you guys. Ooh. I definitely prefer the new ink pad over the old one. So much easier to close and keep aside. Now, I did go ahead and punch out our stocking for the pink one just because I didn't want you to have to watch that twice. So we're going to go ahead and take this image here and cut it out. I'm gonna actually cut this around this only because I have a lot I'm gonna cut out all at one time for you guys. So we're gonna cut that one out. Now I did use let me bring this card back in. For our cute little holly that we're gonna use for this die, I used some of our 2021 Celebrations paper here called the Be Dazzling 6x6 paper. You can actually get this for free when you place a $50 US dollars, $50 order between now and September 30th. So I went ahead and did that with this, and I was so pleasantly surprised. A lot of times when you do a chunky glitter type paper, you have to run dies, especially dies that are really detailed like that. you have to run it through like 2 or 3 times. This came out clean the first time. It's a really great paper. You can color this. You can do a lot of fun things with this. A lot of people are just cutting off a strip and putting that right on the card. It's stunning. It really adds a lot to the paper. So I highly recommend getting that paper. So I did cut out one of them for you. And then we're going to actually bring in our Big Shot machine. Not Big Shot. It used to be called a Big Shot. Now it's called a Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine, which is a must-have. This will absolutely fit on the mini cut and emboss machine as well. But I'm going to go ahead and use the regular size one today and set this up. Now, because I pre-stamped inside of my image, put this where you guys can actually see it, I want to go ahead and use a Post-it note or washi tape. I prefer a Post-it note, by the way, to keep it where I want it. So I'm going to position my die, and I want there to be a little bit of space on the right side. So I'm going to do it so that it's to the left. And I'm going to use my sticky to hold down my Post-it note. I don't need this much of this. This is our pink. We're going to use these little circles to reinforce our tag. And then I have our glimmer paper. And then again, I'm going to go ahead and use, let me move. When you're doing a lot of these, it's kind of like, all right, where can I get this so it will actually all work? So me use the Post-it note again to just center my stocking. Couldn't remember what it was called for a second there. Over the top. Okay, now we're ready to run that through my second piece. And I apologize if there's an earthquake on my phone. Oh, there we go. And it's really not hard to do this, I promise. It's just that I'm being super careful so that you guys don't have, you know, an earthquake. So I'm going to move that out of the way and grab all of our pieces. You can see there's one of my little die circles. So adorable. And we're going to throw these away. And get all of our pieces here. Okay. So this cuts out 3 of these at a time. I'm going to go ahead and grab my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm just going to pop these out in the little circles there. And I'm standing up now, so you can probably hear me. Let me sit back down here. Probably hear me too loud. I don't want to be in your ear booming. So there's from the little dies, from our tailor made dies. So I'm just going to put those back on there. And I do love the detail. I love how these dies are stitched. Isn't that great? It's not just an image. Like I could cut the image myself, right? I could cut the tag, but I love the stitching. It makes the dies. It's totally worth the money. Okay, and I'm gonna put this one, I'm just gonna set that aside. I'll do that later. And then we also have our glimmer paper one. This is what I was saying. This is only run through one time. And you're just gonna kind of gingerly, kind of just fold it back and forth until it comes out. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And I'll be saving that. I'll be using every single inch of that fun space. And I like that I can cut out a bunch of these circles at one time. We're only going to use one. So let me get rid of my garbage here. All right. Don't want to lose that die. Now, I'm going to be layering, as you see here in this card, I'm going to be layering these images. So I want to make sure that I've kind of got everything together. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some liquid Tombow glue, and we're going to go ahead and put our little reinforcer on. Now the best tip I have for you on this is just teeny tiny bits. Now I'm not using a tape runner because I want this to be positionable. Like when I first put that little tag on there, it's easy to accidentally put it down in the wrong spot if you're using something like, well, a tape runner. The tape runner of any kind. So if it's a permanent adhesive, you want to be able to move it. See how it's not right there? So I'm moving it with my fingernail and then just push that down. That is so adorable. And I can definitely see, like if I did this same card, but I did it up and I had some fun ribbon or some twine or something coming out the top. So I love that. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our Early Espresso ink, or not ink, paper. I'm going to use my bone folder as always to go ahead and reinforce, make sure, because I did use our paper trimmer. So this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, cut at 4 1/4, and then scored at 5 1/2. And I use my bone folder to reinforce it. Okay. Now we just went down 1/4 of an inch. So this piece of Blushing Bride that matches our ink is just 1/4 of an inch smaller. So it absolutely does measure at 5 1/4 by 4. And again, these measurements will be posted on my blog at Stamp Happy Day. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab the glue here. Now, I totally could have done this with our Stamp and Seal or Stamp and Seal Plus, whichever. The beauty of the Tombow glue is that I can move it around a little bit, which is like, I'm all about it. So there's not a ton of dimension to this because there's so many pieces. There is dimension on my stockings. Now, real quick, before we finish up our video, I do want to let you guys know about ordering with me. So you can order with me at jamiedennis.stampinup.net and use the hostess code that you see here, XP4VAJXM, and you will get a free card from me thanking you, as well as earn rewards as part of my rewards program. So I just want to thank you in advance for doing that, and thank you for supporting me. I would love to be your demonstrator, as well as help you to get started with Stampin' Up! If you would like to be a demonstrator. Get 20% off all the time. And during celebration, you can get $99 worth of product. $125 worth of product for $99 and no shipping. And you get to pick one of these amazing bundles. So really, really excited about what's available to you. Check out my blog for more information, or you can follow me on Instagram at Stamp Happy Day as well. Okay, so back to the card. I'm gonna go ahead and glue on our fun little layer that we did where we stamped our own paper. And I love making my own background paper. I do, I just think it's fun. It's what we did back in the day before the DSP, or Designer Series paper, had all the intricacies. Now, let me tell you, our DSP is worth every penny because you get so much for that. But I like making my own. Okay, so I did cut a little strip of Early Espresso again, and this measures 4 1/4 by 1 inch, just a 1 inch piece. It does kind of hang over a little bit. In fact, I meant to cut that little piece off. We'll do that in a minute. I want this kind of not dead center, but up a little, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and glue that down. And knowing there's a lip there, I'm gonna not do it all the way to the edge because it wouldn't sit flush anyway. I'm gonna do it a little bit off. I hope that made sense. See how there's a lip? I didn't want that to, it's not gonna glue down to this part of the paper anyway. It's only gluing to the white, so I didn't glue it all the way down. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and put my tag on, again, using the glue. Can't really go wrong with this. I love how permanent this is, but again, you can move it. And I just kind of centered that over the top, leaving a little space to the left. And I wanted this space here so that I can put my fun little stockings. So we did the stockings this way last time. I think I'm just gonna switch it up. Let's just see what it looks like if I change them and put them like that. So what I'm gonna do is just add a dot of glue right here. And I'm gonna put that there. And I'm gonna kind of move it around to see, all right, where do I want you? You know what I mean? So I'm gonna kind of angle. I do like that. So I'm just pushing that down. And then I'm going to take a dot of glue and just set it here. Okay, and that is for the sprigs. So again, we put the other sprig on the bottom last time. Let's just switch them up. Just kind of messing with it just to see, okay, which design do we like the most? And it kind of needs to look like these are coming out of the stockings. And I don't want it to hang over too much because it won't fit in my envelope, right? So I'm gonna move this now. I'm gonna use dimensionals to fully glue down the stockings, right? See, that didn't really stay. So I'm just gonna add another little dot of glue. It's gonna be covered up, so it's fine. I'm just gonna hold that for a second. Stay there. That's your new home. Oh, I love stamping. It brings me so much joy. I really like sending cards to people and kind of passing on that little bit of joy, especially with this last year that we've had. I'm using some of the dimensionals here. With this last year that we've had, getting a card in the mail from somebody who took some time to make it is such a beautiful thing, just to show someone else how much you care. That's why I do this. And I've been making cards for, gosh, over a long time. Let me think here. Probably, gosh, I really don't know how long. At least 10 years, at least. Maybe even longer than that, maybe 15. Okay, and then the last thing that we need here is, well, we need two things. We need to use some of our fun Genial Gems, which are my favorite. I've gone through a whole pack of these already. And I'm just doing one of them on the side of my tag. I really wanted one up here where it says it's the most wonderful time of the year. So I did that on the top left using my Take Your Pick tool. This is one of my favorites because I love that you've got your actual poker, right, which is essential to get things out. You have a little spatula. You can also put a roller in here to get your pieces out from when you die cut them. And then this is like a putty, and it picks up all the things, which is fantastic. So over here, I've got some of these little dots. Wondering if you can see that. I can actually use that to pick up my dots. So it's such a great tool, and you just twist that as you're going. This is like a you gotta have kind of tool. Okay, so we're done with those. Now I'm gonna use our baker's twine thread, and it is by far, actually I'm sorry, it's called the linen thread. It used to be called, it's a type of baker's twine. Anyway, it is called linen thread. And I'm gonna make a cute little bow here. Now, if you are bow impaired, don't worry, you do not have to do this step. But honestly, any little bow or not, just a little bit of something, you know, it really makes that card pop. It's that extra bit. So we are going to, see, maybe I'm bow impaired. I like that they finally put these on a spool. They used to come on this paper that kind of made there be a kink inside of the thread when you're making your bows, and that was really frustrating for me. So now it's on a roll like that. And I always actually keep it on the roll, and that way I don't use up too much from this side. So I'm just gonna get an idea of, all right, how much do I actually want? And I think I'm gonna do about that. Whoops, I need to sharpen these. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna take some of our Stampin', oh gosh, what are they called? The mini glue dots from Stampin' Up. And this just happens to be an old one, so it's the same thing, honestly. I'm gonna roll the glue dot like that, making a little Stampin' Up log or glue dot. Just kind of roll it so that it stays. And I'm pressing that down on there. You can also just do it in your hand and then stick it to the back, whichever is, you know, working for you. So I'm sticking that down, and then I don't like how long this one is. Pardon my hand. Trim that one off. That's adorable. So there you go. There's the two variations of our fun card using our Tidings and Trimmings stamp set and dies, as well as the tailor-made tag dies. I hope you like this project. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope you have a stamp happy day. Make sure to check out my blog as well for dimensions, as well as product listings. Have a good day.